Hello everyone, and welcome to No Man's Sky Worlds Part 2. So we're going to be diving deep into the patch notes. We're just going to be looking at the entire thing, but we're not going to be doing like a full-blown deep analysis. We're just going to be looking at the patch notes because I haven't seen them, and I've been waiting to fucking just look at this the entire time. So you know what, without further ado, let's just go ahead and look at it. So we got No Man's Sky Worlds Part 2, Update 5.5. Update 5.5, Worlds Part 2 transforms the universe with new stars, new story, and new planets. Explore ancient ruins, gas giants, and water worlds, and discover strange creatures, varied biomes, and dramatic terrain, featuring new gameplay, huge improvements in lighting and water rendering, and much more. So they added a lot of stuff to Worlds Part 2, just as much as Worlds Part 1. Now they did do a deep dive for Part 2. I'm not going to get into that in this video. If you want to go see that and you haven't already, go ahead and check it out. It's very nice. It's very well written, very well structured. It's pretty nice. The first thing that they've done to Worlds Part 2 is they overhauled the terrain generation. They did it again, and it looks amazing, as you can see by these valleys, these screenshots. They look absolutely stunning. And floating islands can also appear on any kind of planet now, not just tethered to lush planets, which we are going to talk about lush planets here in a bit. Like I said about the terrain generation, the universe expands. We've got a new class of star, the purple class solar systems, which from what I've seen, these have the gas giants inside of them. I don't know if gas giants can spawn outside of purple systems, but we'll see. We'll see when we get into the game. But there is a new quest line that does expand on the autophage story, and it's very good, and I've seen it on Ghostlight's stream. Shout out to him. I can't wait to jump in and see what it's like. The Atlanta Drive is finally in the game, but I don't know, I didn't see anything about the freighter one, so we'll see. Another one of the major terrain overhauls is the deep oceans. Oceans can go quite literally all the way deep. We also have ocean worlds as well, so with the deep oceans, we also have ocean planets, and they look spectacular. There's a whole host of range with these new seas, these new biomes, and they have the boundary horrors inside of them now. So it's really awesome, and I can't wait to go and check it out and just see how the cursed expedition stuff comes to the normal game, just to see how it is. It looks very incredible. I mean, like, look at that. You get some light shafts. You get these beautiful colors, these Atlantid crystals, or at least they look like it. They are glass related, so I don't know if they're necessarily Atlantid, but we'll see. We'll see when the time comes. That looks incredible. Inventory sorting is a quality of life feature that they just added to the game, and this is something that I've been asking for ever since 2021 when I started playing. So now with a click of a button, depending on whatever you want to sort it as, value, name, color, whatever you name it, trade value, like, you can do that now, and it's so much easier to organize your inventory just with a single button press. Why don't more games do this? This is quite literally something that Minecraft, other survival games, other games that have inventories, they could learn from this. This is amazing. This is such a nice quality of life feature. And like I said, we got gas giants, you know, these beautiful planets. Here's the difference though. In Starfield, you can't land on gas giants. In No Man's Sky, you can. So you got these crazy atmospheric pressure, volatile atmospheres and stuff like that. And I mean, you can just see from the pictures here, they look absolutely incredible. In Stellar Multitudes is the new quest line. So if you want to go ahead and get this started, all you have to do is just pulse out in space if you're already at the end game, and it will eventually show up. It'll say like Divergent Entity Detector or something like that. So there is also this, which apparently, I'm not going to spoil anything for those newer players, but you do make contact with a old friend. So there's that. The Cursed Expedition stuff has made its way into the game. The Deepwater Guardian, or the Boundary Horror that we had in the Cursed Expedition, which is still running right now as I'm recording this video, they added this into the game, and it looks incredible. From what I can see from the screenshot, it apparently just looks exactly like how it did in the Cursed Expedition. So it most likely plays the same. So we'll just have to see about that. Your fishing does not go unrewarded with just titles and stuff like that. Now you actually earn helmets, and look at the range that we have here, man. This is a little weird, I won't lie. This is a little weird. I like this one on the right. It's more of like a Leviathan style I don't know what I'm really talking about, really. I think I'm referencing something else. You have like all these different milestones, and it looks nice. Very weird. I like the designs though. It's very steampunk, aquatic-esque. I love it. Looks absolutely incredible. I like this one, the Child of Helios one. That's pretty cool. Alongside the terrain generation overhaul and the introducing of more worlds, we now have dense jungles. This is a personal favorite of mine. I'm so happy that we got dense jungles. This is something I've been wanting in the game for a long time. Certain types of planets, or not I guess certain types, but all types of planets really, depending on their environment, have their own hazards now. So instead of there just being hazardous flora, which there are more hazardous flora by the way, there's a whole host of variety now. We now have environmental hazards. So if you're on a toxic planet, you'll be having like toxic spores. If you're on a radioactive planet, there will be like some kind of fallout. If you're on a volcanic planet, there's eruptions and geothermal geysers. Sorry. Geothermal geysers, it says it in the patch notes. I could have just read that. But geothermal geysers, which spawn on, I believe, anomaly planets. They also turned the Adrift Expedition into its own game mode by the Abandoned mode. So if you didn't play the Adrift Expedition, it was an entire universe, had no one in it, the population was abandoned, and it removes all alien life forms from the game, and it kind of gives you that sense of what the game was trying to be back in 2016, this lonelier experience. It's pretty nice. Go ahead and give it a shot if you're interested. We got new aquatic fauna like seahorses, and we have a whole variety of seahorses. They look just absolutely incredible. I haven't seen them in game yet, but we will get to be in game soon. Very soon. Now, real quick, I want to talk about this screenshot in particular because there is a whole host of things going on here. So the first thing that they added is they added proper ambient lighting. So now every emissive texture has a light source. It has a point light to it. So if you see like these lights here, they have their own light source now. These server blocks have their own light source. They cast an ambient light across it, but that's not it. So now we have specular highlights, which these lights act as if they had, you know, proper reflections or refractions, I guess. Proper refractions on the metal surface, or just anything that has a reflective map. That also goes for your character if it has anything specular related. And then there's also the micro shadowing, which is an extension to ambient occlusion, which was already subtle enough, but they added another part to it, and that adds a very slight shadow to the edges of objects, which is what ambient occlusion should do anyway, but micro shadowing is just an extension to this to add very small detail. It's almost like global illumination in a way. It's a form of global illumination from artificial light sources, and that's what they're trying to aim for. I don't know what they're going to do next. Maybe point lights might have shadows. I know these are very like technical, like game graphics things, but you know, this is all nice to see because it makes the game look pretty, makes the game look really nice. Speaking of making the game look very nice, they overhauled water. Again, the surface of water is much higher fidelity, which it does look somewhat better. It doesn't look entirely different, but it does look better. But now clouds, nebulae, and other planets can be reflected, so it creates a more, like the reflection is more realistic. It doesn't just cull things out and not show things that it should be showing. And some planets feature glowing foam. That's very interesting. I have not seen that yet. But alongside that, we also got physically accurate water. So when your character swims, the water ripples around your character. If the ship flies overhead and is casting a lot of speed against the water, it's going to cause a little wave. It's really interesting. They went all out with this one. And of course, we have more anomaly creatures, which these little guys look absolutely amazing. I love these little guys. Like, they look so cute. They're like baby atlases. That's what they remind me of. Like, they're like baby atlases in the form of like molecules and atoms. It looks so weird, but I like it. I think it looks really cool. Something on the PC side as well is now we have a smoother modding experience. So now mods won't break across as many updates, and it's an easier process to update your mods and make them, I guess, like updated within a new update. So they're taking modding actually quite seriously. And that's very nice to see, because modding is it's slowly getting there. It's not insane yet, but it's slowly getting there. So now we have a dedicated mod settings file, which should hopefully solve some conflicts that come with a new update. Very good, Hello Games. Very good. We love that. They've also added more frozen worlds, more radioactive worlds. They've also added a Colossus refiner. So now the Colossus Exocraft has a dedicated 3-slot refiner. Pretty nice, because this makes the Colossus a lot more useful. We also have giant squids. Oh my god, look at that thing. We also have relic worlds. If you don't remember, if you haven't seen my video from like, I think it was like 5 or 6 months ago, we covered this in a leaked data file from that Bomber Boy, and it was a very rough version of it. But here it is in the game now. These are also buildable parts that you can build at your base, and they look incredible. They look very nice and very high fidelity. I can't wait to go see them in game. And here's a prime example of what I was talking about with the dynamic water, the physically accurate water. You can see how the water just ripples in the wave of it, and it's so nice. And I love seeing the clouds, the planets reflected, and that's not screen space. That's a cube map. So you can look all the way down and you can still see the clouds and the planet. That's very nice. Very smart of them. Cronus also has a dedicated food market, so you can just give as much food as you want to him without having to do it one by one, and it's just a quality of life improvement. Much nicer, much easier to do. Some of the fish from Aquarius got added into the game as actual physical animals, like that you can actually go and see the fauna in the game. And then of course we got the tie-in expedition. This expedition's coming out soon after the Curse expedition ends, which we have no idea if it's going to end sooner or if it's just going to end at its dedicated time. We have no idea. I'm assuming it's going to end at its dedicated time, but I will be covering the tie-in expedition as soon as it comes out, so be on the lookout for that and get subscribed. They also overhauled the lighting in this game, so this is what it looked like before and this is what it looks like after. It's a very subtle change, but it does make the game look less dark and a lot more dramatic, so I think it's an improvement. Some people might think it's a downgrade, but I think it's an improvement to the game. Makes the grass more detailed, and it makes the global illumination pop more in certain areas, especially darker scenes, so I think it's a good thing. Speaking of good things, we also have an improvement to the Nautilon. We have a dedicated platform for those who want to go and use the Nautilon Exocraft for the seas. And, you know, back then this wasn't really a useful exocraft, but now it is. It's actually very useful. We also have dedicated fishing missions from the space station, so this is the first time we actually get, like, new missions for the space station. And these are also for the anomaly, so it's not just for space stations, it's also for the space anomaly. Space stations are more for like solo fishing, and the space anomaly missions are for multiplayer fishing, which I don't know what you would do. Maybe you'd have like a fish off or something like that. I don't know. That actually sounds really bad. We also have Starship cold storage and multi-tool cold storage. So if you don't know what that is, this means that you can archive starships and multi-tools. And this is a huge feature for long-term players because you can just get as many ships as you want, just get as many ships as you like, you can get as many multi-tools as you like, and you can just store them. You don't even have to scrap them. You're not bound or tethered to 6 multi-tools, or what was it, 12 starships? No, now you've got up to 18 additional slots for ships, and I think like 12 or 18 slots for your multi-tools. It's crazy. It's insane. This is such a huge quality of life feature. And of course, you know, we have more variety for all kinds of worlds. Lush, toxic planets, frozen planets, radioactive planets, and of course, hot planets. You know, we have that. We also got this interior lighting overhaul. So this goes for lighting in enclosed spaces such as your bases, space stations, planetary buildings, and of course caves. So anything that has to do with like an enclosed interior, it will have different lighting now. It should be darker, not brighter. So we'll see about that. Oh yeah, something else I forgot to mention about water. They're on moons now. Water is on moons. Absolutely awesome. Another thing that I like about the update is the fact that they added brand new compression tech. So they reduced the game's file size by 10%, and they also increased load times by 4 times than before. with improved data caching, reducing hitches during transitions and stuff like that. And I will say this, when I was playing really late last night, like just to get a feel for it, yes, there is absolutely a difference, and the stutter isn't gone when you leave planets, like going from atmosphere to space. It's not gone, but it is like barely there. You hardly even notice it. We also got little hermit crabs. Look at these guys. Look at them. Look at them. We also have prawns. These are shrimp-like creatures. There they are. They actually look quite big. There's also bizarre life forms, like rare, whimsical, and mind-boggling, strange new species of creature. What the hell are these, man? These are so weird. Okay, I haven't seen those yet, but I'm actually eager to see that. And just to explain what I was talking about, the micro shadowing feature, it being an extension to ambient occlusion, you see this plant right here. This is the most obvious example. If I swap it over, it's a lot darker. It casts a much nicer shade over the plant, or it actually casts a shade to begin with over the plant. And it does that just for everything that has like very small detail, very microscopic detail that should, just an area that should be having shadows but lacks in shadows. We also have bioluminescent striders. These are also brand new creatures. I feel like I've seen these before. Maybe I saw it during a leak or something like that, but I thought these weren't new. I thought these were already in the game, but apparently they're new. We also have a brand new exosuit technology called the nutrient ingester, which is an automatic feeding process that you can insert something. It gives you not powers, but it gives you a benefit. You eat stuff, you cook stuff, it gives you a benefit. So you can mass produce cooking, and you can slot it into your nutrient ingester, and it will ingest for a certain duration and give you certain buffs and stuff like that. This is a very nice addition. This could also be used as like a survival mechanic. We also have customizable fishing rigs. I didn't even know that this was a thing, I'm gonna be honest. We got the Pillar of Titan staff, which is just a beautiful looking relic staff. Looks incredible. The exocraft have dedicated flamethrowers now, so you can equip all exocraft with a literal flamethrower, which was weird because the Minotaur was the only one that has it. So could you put a double flamethrower? I don't know about that. But as you can see, there's the hostile flora, there's a whole host of different types. Then there's also colorful marine life, like a lot more fauna, a lot more flora. There's also rain droplets on water, which create this beautiful effect when it rains or when it snows. And then of course we've got Twitch drops, which is absolutely incredible. We also have quality of life improvements across the entire game. Doesn't matter what platform you're playing on. And we also have VRR for PS5 and I think Xbox Series X. I don't know they just list PlayStation 5 here, so maybe it was already on the Series X, but now PlayStation 5 does have VRR support, which is very nice. There's also Titanic planets, which are these colossal worlds. They're massive. So, yeah, there is that. Giant alien planets. I think this is tied to those colossal planets as well. They have taken root across the universe and bring eerie beauty to each of the planets they infest. Very interesting. We get a brand new ship customization part, which is really just a different paint style, which is supposed to evoke a 1970s sci-fi book cover aesthetic, and it does look pretty nice. They also changed the entry, or like the entry effect for when you're going from space to a planet. They make the fire around the outer edge of your ship, like your ship's cockpit, they make it a lot more dramatic, which it does look pretty nice. This is also one of the many things I was talking about with the environmental hazards. Alongside that, there are localized anomalies, so there could be weather anomalies like dramatic electromagnetic events, enhanced storms and tornadoes, and localized gravity inversion zones, which is something I did see on my planet. And speaking of my planet, it changed. The seas went from being a beautiful aqua to a blood red. And then of course we got the Wraith Starship, which is like a brand new living ship. It looks so nice. It looks so cool, but the thing is you can't change the color, which I know is like, it's a little minor nitpick, but I would like to see this thing in the black and red style. Looks really nice. And that's about it for 5.5 patch notes. If you want to do a full-blown deep dive yourself, you can go to the website and go through this entire list. I'm just talking and letting it scroll down, so if you want to read something, you can pause on it. And I'm just going to ramble on while this kind of goes on. So, what do I think about the update? I think this is an incredible update. Worlds Part 1 and Worlds Part 2, I would say they are equally just as big, if not maybe slightly bigger on Part 2's side, because they added a lot more here. But the thing is, we're not really comparing anything. The thing is, they have put so much passion into these two updates alone, and this is setting a very strong foundation for the game going forward. Now, the only thing we don't have is an improvement to procedural structures or stuff like that. We don't have things that we can necessarily do on these planets. They still have the same amount of variety. We still have archives, minor outposts, you know, the little stuff. The stuff that you go to every now and then that kind of like diverses the setting. But other than that, I think that's like the one thing this game does need, is an increase of content for these planets. And that could be the next thing that they do. They could add more structures. They could add possibly dungeons, raids, stuff like that. I think that would be absolutely incredible. It would make the game a lot more replayable, and it would... You could get bored from it, but I still run derelicts to this day. Derelict freighters are insane. There's so much variety, and they do so much good for the game. But that's the thing. That we should have that same kind of technology on planets, not just in space. So that way, you go to a planet and it actually feels fulfilling. It looks very pretty, these planets are very nice, but at the same time, I do think that we need something to do on these planets. You know, just something more substantial. But this is very good, this is amazing. And I think if I were to give this update a rating, I would probably give it a solid 9 out of 10, because yes, they've put so much passion into the game, and they've done so much. There's still some things missing. But after all, this is Worlds Part 2, not Structures. So, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the No Man's Sky Worlds Part 2 breakdown for the patch notes. And yeah, now that Worlds Part 2 is out, I'm going to get to a new playthrough. I kept my promise. I'm doing this. So, get subscribed. We're going to start doing that very soon, and I hope to see you all in the next video.